So I wonder if I did something wrong here.
Oh! What's up guys, it's your boy Alan again, back with another video, and today we're gonna look at this video. It's called 5 Wine Opening Gadgets Improved by Design Expert. So this guy is not a bartender or a restaurant worker, but he does design gadgets and he tests them out in focus groups, and the feedback he gets back, he'll make adjustments. So he takes little criticism like that and feedback and use that to improve designs on gadgets that he works on. So today he's gonna test out 5 different wine opening gadgets, and I'll react to it, see if I agree or disagree with what he says or have anything to add to what he says. But before we get started, don't forget to hit that subscribe button and let's check this video out.
The Wine Ziz, amazingly simple wine opener. Its purpose in life is to get that cork out of the bottle. Let's see how effective it is. So, needle goes through the cork, push it all the way in, and start zizzing. Whoa.
Whoa, that was weird. I've never seen a wine opener that works like this. Like, how did that happen?
Is that 3 pumps, 4 pumps? Popped right out, made a sound.
Oh, I think it's a pump. You inject air into it, and then that air pushes the cork out.
Looks like we're good to go. Start early.
Okay, this is not related to the gadgets, but don't ever grab the wine glass by the bowl. Not only is it gonna leave fingerprints, but it's gonna warm up the wine as well.
Let's see how it compares to a standard corkscrew.
That's pretty impressive. That's the same kind of wine key that I use. I have one right here. This is the pull tap. Yeah, that's pretty impressive. What did he beat it by 10 seconds? Yeah, that thing beat it by 10 seconds. That's really, really impressive.
In terms of effectiveness, on a scale of 1 to 5, I would give it a 5. This really popped that cork a lot quicker than I expected.
Yeah, that's actually very, very impressive. I've never seen anything like that, and I'm actually interested in ordering one and testing one out. I've been bartending for a while, and I've never seen... I mean, this guy is pretty bulletproof. Definitely way more presentable than using that air pump, but in like a home environment or high volume bar, that's definitely something I would like to experiment with.
And that's always a good thing. If you expect something to work in a certain way and it actually works better than that, you're exceeding expectations. That is a good thing to do design-wise.
I totally agree with what he said. That definitely worked better than I expected it. And a lot of these wine gadgets, they're just way too big. They take way too much extra steps. They don't really do anything better than these traditional style wine keys. So I agree with him on this. That also exceeded my expectations.
I'm using the Wine Ziz with the left-handed oil test. And what that means is I'm right-handed. I'm going to oil up my left hand, make it really slippery. Now let's see if I can inject the needle. Start pumping. 1, 2, 3, 4. Whoa.
Even when he was doing the olive oil test, it did seem to work pretty well. Yeah, maybe some knurlings or maybe some place to put the thumb to make it more comfortable. And I say that that's a pretty solid product. Like, I'm actually impressed. I didn't think, I mean, this is pretty strong right off the bat that the first product is actually this impressive.
The manual rotating corkscrew wine bottle opener. First thing that comes to mind when you take a look at this is it's got this ancient or antique look and feel to it.
And that looks pretty cool. It looks like super steampunk.
I would use the tip of the corkscrew to break the foil.
That doesn't look really safe. I mean, he had a foil cutter in a previous video, so it would provide a cleaner cut. Like, you can actually cut yourself if the foil is not cut evenly as well.
Place it on the cork. Start screwing and start turning the handle. Feel the cork had a little bit of resistance to get started, but after that, it came out relatively. Tastes like the last one.
So is tasting the wine also part of these tests?
It takes a little bit of force to get it in and to start turning the crank to pull the cork up.
Yeah, I could already see a problem that could have been fixed. The handle that's used to pull the cork up definitely could have been bigger. By making the handle a lot bigger, you could generate more torque with the same amount of force. He did say that there's like a little struggle to pull that cork out initially.
It does have its its fun aspect to it. The showiness of some of these wine openers. I have a feeling that if I was in a party situation and I had this corkscrew, I think people would gather around to watch me do it or say, hey, let me try that.
Yeah, a lot of these fancy wine openers definitely are more on the novelty side. So yeah, let's see what the speed difference is between the two. Like, I don't suspect it to do any better than a traditional wine key.
Let's see how that compares with a standard waiter's corkscrew.
Well, that's surprising. I would expected that that gadget would have taken much longer. But then again, I work as a professional, so I'm probably faster with the wine key anyways.
Let's try this with the left-hand oil test. So, slime myself up. Let's see how easy or difficult it's going to be to get the foil off.
Oh man, that is very... That's cringy. I would not open, especially with oiled hands, I would not open the foil like that.
And this is not easy at all. Not only is my left hand slipping, but my right hand is slipping.
Jeez, I'm like really freaking out. He better not cut himself.
Let's think about how I would redesign to improve the wine opener. I did notice something though, is that this handle is wider than this handle. If this handle was longer, it would be a little bit easy to turn to get a little more leverage on it.
Yeah, that's kind of backwards thinking. Like, you don't really need leverage to put you look at a corkscrew, this thing's called the worm. So you don't really need that much force to put the worm in, but you need more force to pull the cork out. So you would think that the handle for pulling the cork out should be much bigger because it needs more leverage.
The BarCraft stainless steel lazy fish corkscrew. Its purpose in life is to get corks out of wine bottles. Let's see if I can use this edge to remove the foil.
Do any of these wine keys or wine opening gadgets have their own blade? So going back to this traditional pull tab design, I mean, there's a blade right there. I don't think any of these gadgets so far have a built-in way of cutting off the foil, which is the first step of opening the wine.
Ooh, let's start spinning. It's a little unstable doing this, but not bad.
Looks like it can break just by the way it's twisting.
And that's coming up pretty easily. The mechanical advantage of this, and actually any of the wine openers, is the ratio of the movement of the cork to the movement of your hand. I would say this is about a 4-to-1 ratio.
Yes, that's physics if you ever paid attention in high school.
I would give this a 4.5. It actually wasn't that hard to pull the cork out.
I mean, it's kind of cool, but that took like 20 seconds longer than the standard wine key. So it's definitely, conversation starter, but that's just way too much time and too much work. And yeah, you do have that mechanical advantage at the end, but just by putting the worm inside the cork, it's like a hassle because there's nothing to hold on to.
I don't think there's any hope of getting the cork out unless I use my teeth. Well, I could try my teeth.
Oh, again, the worm. Be careful of the worm.
Let's look at ways that I would try to improve the lazy fish. Okay, what I would do though is get rid of these points. These just don't feel right, and I would keep the spirit of the tail fin intact, but make sure there's a pretty generous radius here.
Yeah, I would agree. Maybe even make it flat so it gives a more place to turn. But also, I think that it would probably be better to turn to get the worm in through the grabbing of the fish's head, because when you twist by the tail, all those parts are kind of loose, so there's that you're losing energy just by twisting the fish's body. If you had some place to hold on to on the fish's head and twist the worm in that method, I think that would have been an improvement as well.
The monopole ASO cork puller.
Okay, this is cool. I've actually used one of these before.
And the prongs go into the cork. Boy, there's something about this that just seems a little too crude, but let's give it a shot. Do a bit of a wiggle to see if I can get this thing down into the bottle.
So the way you can get the also in, you just got to rock it back and forth from each of the needles in. So I think he's going the wrong way. He's going through perpendicular from where he should be rocking it.
And actually, if I rock it back and forth, it's going a little easier.
Okay, that looks a little bit better, but yeah. This is not an easy tool to use.
Lifting, but it is coming out. So that took a bit of effort. The cork is on there pretty tightly, but in terms of usability, I would give this a 1. It may have advantages for a broken cork because you can get around the cork. You wouldn't depend on a corkscrew getting into the center of the cork. But boy, I don't think this would be anybody's first choice.
Okay, so I have a professional response to that. That wine gadget is not for opening everyday wines. It's specifically used to open old wines, 10, 20 years. So if you collect old wines, the also is actually almost a necessity because a traditional, wine key like this, they all have the worm, and a lot of these older wines have very brittle corks, and just driving the worm into the cork will cause it to break and you get all these pieces of cork falling into your very expensive old wine. So yeah, though also it's not easy to use. It's not a beginner tool, but we use it in the professional setting. So I know for a fact that, you know, if you're serious about wine, you actually do need to consider getting a device similar to that.
Okay, let's think of ways to redesign this to make it a bit more usable. First of all, pulling this off, I don't know if you can see these grooves here, but they're going in line with the shield in parallel with the direction that you're pulling this off. If anything at all, you'd want the groove lines to go this way.
Yeah, I would actually agree on that. You know, we don't really open wines, especially expensive old wines, in a high volume environment in the restaurant or bar. But yeah, like sometimes your hands do get kind of clammy, and yeah, having grooves in that will definitely help take the device out.
There's nothing about this shape that wants to encourage the twist. So I think we really need some width here. So I would actually fill in this segment so that all this is solid. And
yeah, I wouldn't disagree with him. Even though I don't think you need to twist it that hard. A lot of these corks are, you know, very unpredictable. So having more options to take the cork out gently definitely will help.
In terms of a buy rating, boy, I would give this a 1 because really I think it's going to sit in the drawer.
So yeah, once again, I have to disagree. So there's two very specific reasons for this style of wine opener. One is to open very old wines where the structure of the cork may have been compromised over time, and a traditional corkscrew will not work. The second is if you attempt to open it and the cork breaks, and you can actually use this the osso to recover that wine without worrying about bits of cork falling into it.
The Coravin Model 1. The advantage...
Okay, great. This is another item. This is another device I've used before. So let's see what he says about it.
...of the Coravin is that you don't remove the cork. It is a CO2 cartridge-loaded wine opener. The needle goes through the cork. It pressurizes.
So I'm going to have to correct him right off the bat over there. Those cartridges are not carbon dioxide. They are argon. And argon is it's an inert gas, so it won't oxidize the wine. Because once you open a wine, oxygen is going to go in and ruin the wine. But it's going to inject argon gas, so it essentially also helps preserve the wine while you're able to pour it.
This needle guard, I'm going to take off. Boy, I wonder if I should try to go right through the foil. Let's do that.
So you definitely do want to remove the foil when you're using a Coravin. One reason is that you might jam a piece of foil into the needle itself, rendering the device useless. The second is you might create this little space between the foil and the cork where, you know, as you pull the Coravin out, it might pull some of the wine into between that space, and it could that wine could be rancid. So when you taste it again, you're gonna introduce that rancid wine to the preserved wine.
So I wonder if I did something wrong here.
Oh!
The way to use this correctly is lift this up first so the needle is in position to do the injection. Place it around the bottle and push this in, and then we should be good to go.
Oh, that's what he did. He didn't, he skipped that step. So yeah, you want to pull the needle up, clamp it against the bottle, and then push the needle back in. So I guess what he did was he just put the whole thing into the cork at the same time.
It's pretty awkward. If you look at my right hand and left hand, you know, they're both in the air. Elbow is up because I have to tilt this. It's just not feeling that good, and it's taking longer than it should.
I mean, you can also hold the bottle with a supinated grip like this. I mean, I've used that. I never even thought about that. That's pretty funny.
I think it may have some advantages in terms of preserving the wine, but...
that is the advantage. That's actually primary reason to use the Coravin.
In terms of usability, I would give this a 2. I just think that some missed opportunities. It's just going to be a lot more natural for someone to grab this and try this and bend that needle.
Just like the osso, this is for very, very expensive wines. And the reason why you would use the Coravin wine system is because, let's say you have a very expensive bottle of wine and you don't want to drink the whole thing. Because once you open that cork, oxygen goes in and it's going to start to oxidize, it's going to ruin the wine. It needs to be finished in a day. I mean, maybe 2 days in a refrigerator, but oxidation is is gonna happen immediately after you take off the cork. It works by injecting argon gas, which is inert, so that's also gonna preserve the wine. The Coravin wine system is very, very expensive. The device is expensive. The argon gas cartridges are expensive, and this is for expensive wine. And its primary purpose is not, ease of use. It's not for everyday table wines. This is for that one special occasion that you just want to have a taste of that really old DRC Burgundy, and you don't want to drink the whole thing in one sitting.
What I would do is decrease the size of this significantly. I would make this just a tiny pinch area so that all you need to do to get this on the bottle is to pinch here. It doesn't cue you to squeeze these things, because squeezing these is going to release the bottle. You'll have a bottle on the table.
Yeah, I would agree. This is even when I had to learn how to use it for a place I worked at, it is a very confusing device. And, we've had a lot of needles being bent because a lot of servers didn't know how to use it.
I would also, this seam is so tight that it gives no indication that this really wants to release. So I would look at ways to make it more obvious that these are two separate pieces.
It's kind of funny that he put the needle in by putting the whole thing at once without separating, because when I first learned to use that's a mistake I made as well. I put the whole thing and I jammed the needle and the mount at the same time. It is really confusing. So I can, based on my personal experience of making the exact same mistake, I have to agree with that.
Okay, well, obviously, if people would stop putting corks in the bottle, we wouldn't have this problem at all. I was actually surprised in starting this that there's so many different ways to get a cork out of a bottle, and I was actually pleasantly surprised at a few of these. One is the lazy fish, and two is the wines.
It's funny how he brings out the boxed wine, because honestly, the boxed wine is actually better than a lot of bottles, especially if it's just a regular table wine that you're just going to casually drink. The bag system that's in there, it doesn't allow oxygen to be introduced. So you can actually have a lot of wine and you don't have to drink it all in one sitting, because oxygen will never go inside. And also much more environmentally friendly. Yeah, and guess what? I drink boxed wine myself. There's nothing wrong with it. Well, anyways, if you enjoyed that, don't forget to check out these other videos as well. And if you haven't done so already, don't forget to like and subscribe. And I'll see you guys on the next one.